Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan. I'm fired up to bring our special guest today. Hey, he's the guy I dreamed of becoming when I was a little kid, a professional baseball player. But hey, was a professional player, but he's become way, way more than that in our profession. We got Coach Fryer. Hey, Brian, are you ready to make it happen?
I am, Simon. What's up, MLM Nation crowd? I'm honored to be here. Thanks so much for having me. We've got so much great content to share, Simon. I'm just thankful to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Brian Fryer was a professional baseball player. He got all the way up to AA, and before he hit over 300. Before he got started in network marketing, he's going to talk a little bit about how he went from baseball to network marketing. But once he got started, he built a successful MLM business. And today is one of the most recognized trainers in the direct selling profession. He's an international speaker, a social media guru, a two-time best-selling author, and is in the Network Marketing Ambassador Hall of Fame. This is Brian's third time on MLM Nation. Every time we got him, people love him. He's first appeared at episode 756 and 760. You can go check them out. But anyway, Brian, share us with your background. How did you go from baseball player to network marketing?
What a great question. Again, it's an honor to be here, Simon. What's up, MLM Nation crowd? My third time, man. This is becoming a consistent thing we do. So it's an honor for me to be here. Thanks so much, Simon, for having me. My quick short story is this. I was born and raised in Southern California, not far from where Simon's at now. I had a lifelong dream of playing professional baseball. Like Simon said, back in 2004, was fortunate enough to get drafted by the San Diego Padres. Played 8 years in the minor leagues, and I always say two really cool things happened during my career. Number one, I met my now wife. We've got 4 kiddos, and now we live out in the Midwest. And the second thing is, unfortunately, I suffered a back injury halfway through my baseball career. I tried acupuncture, massage, all kinds of therapy. Nothing was working. Family friend introduced me to a product. It worked amazingly. And about 6 weeks later, I was back in the gym, back in the baseball field, feeling like $1 million. And it just so happened, Simon, about a month after I started taking that product, I got invited to a hotel meeting where there was a couple hundred people. And I quickly found out that attached to that product that helped my back was a business opportunity, AKA the network marketing profession. And that's how I got introduced. My network marketing journey, simply put, went like this. I struggled my first 4 years. I made $0 in profit. I struggled. I had no idea how to talk to people. I thought we were just hawking, juice and products on folks. I had no idea what I was doing. I signed up a total of 50 people over the course of my first 4.5, 5 years. Unfortunately, after 4.5, 5 years, that first company merged with another one. It just didn't align with where we were at. At that point, I had run off all my family members and friends. And there was this really cool thing called the Facebook that was just getting up and going about 10, 11, 12 years ago. I decided to start creating some content, learned attraction marketing. I quickly joined my second company right around that time. And within the first 6 months, became the number 4 income earner in that company, built 100% on social media, did a lot of good things. And to finish my quick story, we were with that second company for about 3 years. Unfortunately, at about 3-year mark, they went merged with another company, and I decided to transition into coaching. And I've been fortunate enough to be, a generic social media business coach for the profession for the last 7 years or so. And again, honored to be here with you today, Simon.
Yeah, and it's inspiring. I remember meeting Coach Fryer just when he was getting started with coaching back in 2016. We had invested in a mastermind coaching together, and that's how I met him. We were at a luncheon. So you said that when you got, let me take it back. You said the first time you struggled for 4 years, but you still recruited 50 people?
50 people total over my first 4 years.
Well, some people would say that's incredible. They can't even recruit one person a year. So what did you do? How did you even recruit 50 people? Because that seems to me pretty decent.
Yeah, I thought so too at the time. To be quite honest, they were friends, because all my family members said heck to the no. The only family member that actually joined me was my dad, and that was the only way I got him to join me was by stealing his credit card and signing him up. So that's pretty much how my recruiting went. The first couple of years, I had some relationships, but I think the the key thing to know here, Simon, is even though I recruited 50 my first 4 years, there was only one person left after those 4 years. It was actually still active in ordering from me, and that was my dad. So I think that's important to note.
So then you get started, and you said your second company became the number 4 income earner. You start creating content. So what did you actually start creating? How did you get the idea to do that?
Yeah, this is really unique perspective. I don't know if we're allowed to name drop. I'm not going to say the name of the company that I was with, but at that time, Simon, my wife was a customer of essential oils. And she was, consuming essential oils. We were not building that business, but she was just a customer of a relative. And I was watching intently on how they were doing these home presentations, and they weren't leading with, comp plans and selling. They were leading with education. And I was like, what if we took that approach and took that online? So basically, I took that approach. I started to go to social media, to Facebook first, and I just started to lead with education. I never mentioned my company name or product. I just started leading with education, and I can kind of give you guys an idea what that looked like. So the company we were with at that time, we had toxic-free and organic household personal care items. So instead of going to social media and try to convince people why they needed my toxic-free products, what we actually did, Simon, is we went to social media and we started educating other parents about the harmful effects of chemicals in our everyday products, your toothpaste, your laundry detergent, your vitamins, your supplements, all that good stuff. And that's what generated this an enormous amount of buzz. And people started to come to us as the go-to resource for that conversation.
What would you say was your, if there was a light bulb moment for you where things really start taking off for you?
Yeah, I would say it was right about that moment. After struggling for 4 years, all I did was hit people up about how amazing the compensation plan was and the company was and how they needed this product. And the focus was on me versus focusing on the need, the desire, the problem, the pain point of the actual customer. And when we switched to leading with education and serving and leading with value, we quickly gained a lot of trust really quickly. And for those that are wanting to build online, listening to this episode, that's the number one thing. We shouldn't be focused on trying to sell a product, get someone to join our team. We should be focused on how can we earn the trust of just one more person out there, because those that like, and trust typically buy from you and more likely to join you.
All right. So before we talk about content, we'll come back to it because you've been getting amazing results with short form video or reels and TikToks. But let's say you're doing this education, it's brilliant. Instead of talking about toxic free products, you're talking about the effects. How do you convert those followers or comments into customers and distributors? Or that's a question that someone asked. How do you convert them? And how do you invite them to transition to the business?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I think, short form video, whether it's, TikToks or reels on Facebook or Instagram, are obviously very, very popular right now. They have been for a couple of years. I don't see short form video slowing down by any means. So if you're someone who's maybe listening, to this and you're like, well, I'm not really doing reels or TikToks yet. I'm thinking about it. Is it too late to jump on the train? Coach Fryer is validating that thought for you right now. It's not too late. My gosh, I foresee short form video, reels, TikToks, only growing in popularity. Why? Because the attention span of most people today is very, very short. And most people nowadays would rather watch 5, 10, 15, 30-second videos than maybe read long paragraphs of content. That's just a reality. But, the great question is, how do you take that educational content, turn it into customers, business partners? I'm assuming maybe, Simon, you'll want to go further in depth here in just a little bit, but I'll give you the quick outline and then pass it back to you. We teach our clients a simple formula. It's called GNC, and that basically stands for growth, nurture, and conversion. So what we love to teach is you shouldn't be just going out there creating reels about your products, right? Or about your company or about your business. No. We want to focus on growth first, figure out who your target audience is, what are their biggest pain points, challenges, obstacles that they're facing, and then how can you create some value-driven educational content that not only they would get value from, but they would be inclined to share it, right? That would be a growth type of reel that's going to attract your ideal audience and ultimately get you in front of more of those ideal people. Second would be nurturing type of reels. I feel that these are more of your, live video is still huge. I still believe strongly in live video, but when it comes to reels, I feel face to camera, right? You actually speaking and doing, 30 to 60 second reels with your face, your voice, your energy. This is going to help build a lot more trust with those followers. And then lastly is the C. It stands for conversion. I have a specific formula that we teach in how you can take the value-driven educational content and turn it into a simple reel that's 4, 5, 6 seconds long. Encourage your viewer to comment a certain word or an emoji in the comment section if they would like more information. So again, even on the conversion types of reels, we're not selling our product or promoting our company or business. We're still generating curiosity, leading with value, giving a simple call to action. So that's the simplified version of what that might look like.
What would be the difference between a conversion and a growth content?
Yeah, great question.
Providing value, right? So what's the only difference?
Yeah, great question. So on something like Instagram or Facebook, for example, the three metrics you need to create reels around with intent are watch time, saves, and shares. Okay. So on your growth reels, you're not encouraging your viewer to comment a word or anything like that. Your call to actions are actually for them to save it or to share it. Okay. And those are the types of things that they're going to give you opportunities to grow, reach new non-followers, non-friends, and attract new eyeballs, increase visibility. Conversion reels are very, very similar, but the call to action in those is not to save or share. The call to action in those is to actually comment a word so you can generate a lead, a conversation, and take it to the DMs, for example, and generate a new customer or teammate.
What do you mean by because you always talk about the gold is in the DMs. What do you mean by gold is in the DMs?
The gold is in the DMs?
Yeah, I don't know if you said that or something, but maybe I heard from someone else. But I know you talk about DMs a lot. You want to get the DMs, right?
I think this is important to understand. It's such a great question, Simon, and such a great point. I think, in my own humble opinion, too many network marketers are trying to sell their products in their reels. They're trying to sell their company or business in their reels. And the intent with reels should just be to open up the dialogue, open up the conversation, right? Sales happens in a one-on-one setting. So reels should be used as a visibility tool to get in front of more people, to generate more leads, more conversations. Then we take it to the DMs, and then we're able to have a one-on-one connection with them. We can ask them questions, learn more about them, what they're struggling with, what their biggest challenges are, and then see if our product or business might be a good fit for them. That conversation happens one-on-one versus, trying to sell in your reel. You're going to have a much higher conversion one-on-one.
Yeah, definitely. So the DMs, what do you actually say? So just say like you followed I did a reel and you followed me or you commented. What would I'm reaching out to Brian. Just say I did that to you. What would you do?
Yeah, such a great question. Let's say, for example, Simon, that I have a product that helps people sleep better, right? Let's just use that for an example. And you commented on my reel the word sleep because you saw that, I was someone who maybe struggled with insomnia. Now I'm sleeping like a baby. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's me. I got to figure out what Brian's taking. So you would comment the word sleep. I would jump into your DMs. I would say, hey, Simon, thanks so much for, commenting on my latest reel about sleep. I'd love to see how I can best help you. I got a couple of quick questions. Do you have a moment? And you're like, yes, absolutely. So I would go through basically 3 simple questions, Simon. I would say, first of all, Simon, I'm just curious, what are you using or taking right now to help you get a better night's sleep? And then in that regard, you're going to tell me exactly the product that you're taking. So now I'm going to sit there and take notes. Okay, Simon's taking XYZ product.
So I'm not taking anything right now. Just say.
If you're not, that'll steer the conversation a different way. And then I might say, well, what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing right now besides maybe not sleeping through the night? Are there any other side effects that you're facing, the issues that it's causing? And then you're going to elaborate on what those issues are. And if you're not taking anything, I might say, well, Simon, would you be open to learning more about what's helping me get a better night's sleep? If not, no worries. That's going to handle that situation. Back to the original version, though, if you were taking something, I would say, cool. What are you taking? What seems to be the biggest challenge, issues, obstacles you're facing with what you're currently taking? And you're going to respond to me now, obviously, what you're taking and why it's not working. So for those that don't know, I have a psychology degree. So this is kind of a little reverse psychology. Instead of me trying to convince Simon to buy my product, he's actually telling me why what he's taking is not working. Hopefully you guys had a mind-blown emoji moment right there. The last question, Simon, I would probably ask, one of the biggest objections network marketers get is the price objection. How much people go right to it? How much is it? Oh, that's too much. I can't afford that. If you're someone listening right now who gets that objection a lot, start asking this question before that. I would say, back to the scenario, I would say, all right, Simon, so you told me what you're taking to help you sleep better. You just told me why it's not working for you. Last question, I'm just curious, how much do you typically spend each and every month on that product that you're currently taking that's not working? So how much do you typically spend each and every month? So now I know what Simon's taking, why it's not working, and roughly what he's already spending, AKA his budget, before I go any further. Notice I haven't mentioned my product or anything up to this point, but I've got some valuable information.
What about if I don't take a product? What would you say on the third question?
I would probably bypass the third question. I would just get right to, if you're not taking anything, would you be open to trying something? Obviously, this helped me and is helping other folks. And if so, do you maybe have a budget in mind as far as where you'd like to stay within? I might say that just to kind of get an idea before I just slap on them that it's $50, $100, $150 for my product.
Hey, this is so good. I want to talk about emphasize something that Brian talked about. It's like psychology, right? If you go out there and say, and Brian, just role play, and Brian said, "Oh, that product doesn't work. I mean, why are you taking that?" Then I'll be very defensive because no one likes to be stupid, right? Nobody, no, that product works. It works for my friend. Hey, I know it works, but I've seen the testimonials. And all of a sudden, Brian would have lost me. But if he asked me, why are you taking it? What are you taking it? And the more I talk about it, I realize, yeah, I'm taking it, but it's not working. I've been spending a lot of money. And all of a sudden, you're basically getting the prospect to convince themselves, right?
Correct.
Stop telling, instead ask questions and get the prospect to say what you want them to say. So
yeah, you're exactly right, Simon. I'll just finish that loop with, I think one of the biggest fears in our profession is feeling salesy or don't want to, come across as salesy. And this is a great example of how this whole example that you and I just shared, it's keeping the focus on the prospect. The focus is not on my product and how you need to buy it. And so that prospect is going to be more and more and more open-minded to listening and learning more about your product when the focus was on them rather than you just trying to sell them something. So I think that's critical.
To get it back to the example, this is so good. To GNC, if you're selling a sleep product, right? The growth would be teaching education, right? About the negative effects of not enough sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking of a simple hook that I would start my reel with, something like, struggling to get a good night's sleep, ? That might be my hook. And then I might say on the next set of text on the screen, might say something like, try this. And then I might give a simple tip number 1, simple tip number 2. And then I might give a little call to action that might say, and then also try these things. And then in the description, I'll share a little bit more value. So there's going to be a hook, a little bit of value on screen, a call to action, and then more insight, valuable information in the description. So for those of you that can recall when I was talking about a growth reel, what's the 3 most important things? Watch time, saves, and shares. So I want you to think about it. I create this 4 or 5, 6 second video. It's got a little bit of value on the front. Okay. It's got more value in the description. So while they're reading the text on screen, while they're reading the description, what's happening in the background, my reel is looping over and over and over and over. So if you think about watch time, if someone watched my video for 5 seconds, they watched it one time, that would be 100% watch time. Well, that's actually considered not very good on something like Instagram or Facebook. They want to see your viewers watch it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So think about that. You add a little bit of value on screen. It takes them 1 or 2 times to watch it, to read the text. Now you add more value in the description. Now the reel is looping in the background. By the time they're done, they've watched it 5, 6, 7 times, got a ton of value, save it for later to come back to.
Yeah, and for those who have not embraced short form video, I know I was definitely not early bird on this. And I sent you that text maybe 2 weeks ago about like the dopamine culture, right? Like, the word has changed. Short form video is not too late. You got to get in the game now. It's not too late, because if there's anything I'm going to make a prediction about, is the short form video can only get shorter and shorter. It's not going the other way, because people's attention span is different. I mean, you think back in the day, people read books, right? And then it became blogs. And now people just watch TikTok and Instagram reels. That's what they do, right? Be like movies. People used to watch like trailers. Now, like, the trailers are shorter and shorter. So this is definitely something you want to embrace. Getting back to the GNC, the nurturing. So that's when you just talk about who you are, like who's stuff your family. But what would be an example if you're doing a sleep product of nurturing?
Yeah, such a great example. And I want to key off of what you just shared, about the evolution of how, content is received. I think that, you and myself were early adopters with Facebook Lives, for example. You and I can sit here and recall, you and I used to do lives by ourselves, or we would do some lives together. I mean, they'd be 45 minutes to an hour long, and people would just show up in droves, hundreds, thousands of views you and I would get on these live videos. That was 4, 5, 6 years ago. And nowadays, I still feel live video is critical. So if you're listening to this, live video is not extinct, by the way. But hour-long videos, people just don't have time to sit there and watch hour-long videos to get 2 or 3 or 4 tips, right? They don't. So live videos are still effective, but now it's more like, maybe 8, 10, 12 minutes long, get your point across, deliver the value, the information, and then move on. I want you to look at nurturing reels as kind of like the updated version of live videos, right? It's face to camera. It's your voice, your energy, your value, your tips, your information. And they're typically, 30 to 60 seconds. So think about taking, 2 tips about sleep, for example, if that's who you're looking to attract, and you share a couple of tips, 30 to 60 seconds long, give them a simple call to action if it was helpful. But I think the most critical component, Simon, for nurture reels is to understand why we're doing them. If you think about doing growth reels, 3 or 4 of those a week, you're attracting new eyeballs, new followers, new friends, more visibility, right? And I want you to think about someone stumbling across your growth reel and them not knowing you from anywhere. They just stumble across your reel in their newsfeed and they watch your reel. They get a little bit of value information. They're like, oh, what the heck? This was pretty helpful. I think I'll follow this person. So on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as how much they trust you in that moment, what is it? Maybe a 1, 2, or 3, Simon? What would you say?
Yeah, it's 2, 3 at best, probably a 1 or 2. I mean, what's going to happen? They'll forget about you. After they watch 20 other videos, by tomorrow, they forget about you.
Correct. You're exactly right. So let's say a 1 or 2. They find your reel. It's a little bit helpful. They're like, oh, what the heck? They decide to follow you. So this is why the nurturing reels are so important, because next time they log on, or maybe even they just start binge watching some of your reels, they are on a scale of 1 to 10. They're a 1 or a 2 as far as trust. Now they stumble across a nurturing reel of yours and can get even more value. A 30 to 60 second video, your voice, your face, your energy, your excitement. And in that moment, think of taking that person on a scale of 1 to 10, they were a 1 or 2. Now, maybe after listening to one 30-second video of yours, now they're like a 4, 5, or 6. So think of the nurturing reels as a way to build more rapport and more trust with your audience.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you do a great example of that, because I know you've been busy. I've been busy. I've been traveling, but I kind of feel like I know everything's going on with you, right? Like you just built a swimming pool, right? Congrats, in-ground pool in your house. And that wasn't because you talked, it's because you did reels about it. You're driving, your son's hockey, your daughter's dance. It's all on there, right? So those are the things that make me feel, I know what, even though we haven't talked since in 2 months, right? Maybe 2.5 months since we were hanging out in Utah. I feel like I know exactly what's going on with Brian, right? And that's what the trust is. Really good stuff. So if someone was to get started, what should they do? What's the first step?
With reels, short form video?
Yeah, I mean, it's like some people, like they want to attract prospects. They want to get more attraction. And then some of the questions that people ask, getting more attraction, interest, how to use reels to grow my business. What should they start doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll talk about the shortcut, the way to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You and I have been chatting for the last several months, and I had such a huge influx of people starting to follow my reels over the last couple of years, and learning the system that I taught. And as you know, Simon, you and I have been talking a lot, and I actually created like this simple, very hands-on, simplified course for the newbie, for the beginner, to learn more about reels, to dive deeper in depth about GNC. Tons and tons of examples to share. I think you'll probably maybe share a little bit about that here in just a little bit. But, for me, I wanted to create something that was super simple, that the person who is not very techie, the person who maybe doesn't want to put their face on camera, but still wants to create content, and wants to learn, is open-minded to learn. I think, one of the biggest challenges for those in our profession when it comes to social media, at least what I get from prospective clients, is they've run out of people to talk to. Well, what's the solution to that? If you're someone who's run out of people to talk to, you're lacking engagement on social media, you need to find new people. Reels is going to be your number one solution to doing so. Even if you're brand new, this is something that you can literally start today. And in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, do some amazing things. I've got so many testimonials to share, but I mean, one client, Simon, I'll just share real quick, who went through this information. She started a brand new Instagram account on January 29th, 2024. That was about 4 months ago. And in just 4 months, not having any prior following or anything like that, has grown to over 230,000 followers on Instagram, and has personally enrolled over 600 customers. Wow. Again, I think this is a unicorn case. This is not normal, so I like to be transparent. But if you're listening to this, imagine of having like a 20th of that success, getting 1,000 to 2,000 followers and generating 10, 15, 20 customers a month. I'm sure that would make a lot of people real happy.
Yeah. So how did he get that? Because, by the way, I'm going to emphasize again, the reels are so important, right? I've been doing a lot of stuff like even what Brian's been talking about, totally not even related to network marketing for my boy. So this is a baseball thing again, getting back to baseball. So like my 8-year-old son recently, he's pretty advanced, just got started. He got invited to play one of the top 5 8U baseball programs, the entire LA, entire California, probably just from Instagram. And a lot of people were kind of, how did he get invited? Like kind of jealous from Reels. And he got discovered. The same thing with my 12-year-old, he's almost 13 now. He's one of the top teams. He's playing the big time tournament in Florida in October, strictly through Instagram, through Reels. Reels. Cool. So talk about, when we met in March, I was blown away by this Reels recipe that you have, because you have like 700 people in the community getting results. Talk about how this can help everyone who's listening and watching right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I would strongly encourage, if you're someone who's never done a reel, this is for you. If you're someone who's already doing reels, maybe not getting the results you want, this is for you. If you're someone who's already doing, TikToks and reels and having lots of success, this is also for you to learn how to take it to the next level. Like Simon said, there's already been 700 plus folks who have come through the program in a short amount of time. It's very, very simple. The way that I teach and train, Simon, as you know, is if a 5th grader could not listen to it, watch it, and do it, then I'm not going to teach it. I'm not going to share it. And so we've absolutely simplified the process. And folks are having great results in a short amount of time. And so I think, we've got a link for them. MLMnation.com/Instagram is the link that you guys can head over to. If you'd like me to share more details, I can, Simon. But this is going to focus on helping you get more views, reach new people, generate more leads, and convert more sales. Everything from creating reels to generating leads to how to close them in the DMs.
So I love how you're serving, because this thing, what I found out, is only $33, right? So why should someone do this, as opposed to, like, you're giving so much value already? Why should they do it? Go get this $33 thing. What else can you provide to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. This is an absolute steal. So inside the course, there are 4 1-hour step-by-step trainings where I literally turn my screen around. I share the screen of my phone. We create lots of reels together. There's a community, free Facebook community, to continue to ask questions and deliver support. This is something, Simon, that that I've been told that I'm actually crazy because this course should be like $500 to $1,000 based off of what's inside and the results that people are getting. But I wanted to make something that was simple, was affordable for all, and was very, very easy for them to implement. And that's exactly what we've done. And I'm grateful for you sharing that with your folks as well, because at the end of the day, I ultimately want to help, and you do as well, help these folks achieve their goals, their dreams, their desires in and through their network marketing business. And I think all of us realize and understand the importance of short form video now, and this is the best place to start.
Yeah, I think you're crazy for $33 because when I look at the value, it's way, way more than that. I think you probably later on you come to your senses. You're going to charge you over $100. Again, the link is mlmnation.com/Instagram. And I think one of the key things is it's just not more training, because I think you can get all the training out there, but it's the support, right? The community. Because here's the reality is if training was just the key to success or knowledge, everyone would be very successful because almost everything is available. Like even Brian sharing these nuggets, you can find it on YouTube and stuff. But what you don't get is the support, community support that Brian is there. He's actually going to help you out in the group, and other people. There's other very successful leaders. I think the community is awesome because every time you look at someone who's doing stuff, it gives you ideas, right? It's just like I follow you in the community and I get ideas from you on what to do because your stuff is really good. So highly encourage everyone to do it. Go to mlmnation.com/Instagram. I'll give you a special bonus too. If you get this, if you're watching the live right now or listening to it on podcast and you get it within the next 24 hours, message me, email me. Everyone, I think everyone here, you have my email, and I'll give you a bonus recording to one of my online workshops that would help you out. So, and that's like $100 value to my BYB workshops that have content available, give you content ideas, totally free if you go get Brian's Instagram Reels recipe. Go again, head over to mlmnation.com/Instagram. So I'm going to take this last thing to a couple questions here, right? And we still have questions that people asked at the beginning. I haven't forgotten about you. Does this work if someone does not want to be on camera? Alan asked.
Yeah, such a great question. The simple answer is absolutely. Whether you want to show your face on camera or whether you do not want to show your face on camera, you can create success and any desired result you want with something like Reels or short form videos. So that's the simple answer. Inside the course, we break it all down, different opportunities for each style. And that's such a great question that Alan asked, because that's one of the biggest barriers, right? Even, Simon, you and I saw this back when live video came out 5-6 years ago. A lot of people didn't want to do live video because they had to show their face. Then they started realizing how powerful they are. But Reels is even better, and you can show your face, or you don't have to show your face.
How do you balance? This is another question. Facebook, doing Reels, and TikTok. What advice do you have? Or do you do all of them, or do you recommend focusing on one of them? How do you make that balance?
Yeah, such a great question. For those taking notes, I would write this down. Coach Fryer says, the platform will not bring you results. Your level of skill will. Again, the platform will not bring you results. Your level of skill will. So if you are someone who's trying to grow your business on Facebook and you're not getting any results, it's not Facebook's fault. It's our own fault because our skills just aren't up to par. Same thing with TikTok, right? So I would strongly encourage, if you're someone listening to this, if you're struggling on Facebook, going to TikTok is not necessarily the answer. Going to Instagram is not necessarily the answer. What we need to focus on are the core, fundamental skills of learning how to create content, create curiosity, have conversations, learn how to ask questions, learn how to invite, learn how to close. Those are some of the simple skills that we even leverage today on social media. That's where I would focus most.
Yeah, good question. Some of you asked about how to getting more attraction and interest. I think Coach Fryer definitely answered that question, right?
Start doing Reels. Yes.
Do Reels, right? How to use Reels to grow my business while helping others. He just gave you the nuggets, GNC formula, right? How to talk to people about the business we're in using the GNC, and then getting into the DMs and then asking those questions. Also, what about the two types of people that use social media? That's my question. You talked about to two types. One that gets success, one doesn't. What's the difference? Because I know a lot of people on here are pretty consistent on social media, but one gets results, one doesn't. You've seen. What are the differences?
Yeah, such a great question. I've always taught, Simon, that there are two types of people on social media today. There are consumers and there are contributors. And I'll give all you listeners one guess as to who's making all the money, who's generating all the customers, who's generating all the personal sales, who's generating in building the biggest teams. It's the people who are showing up and contributing. And I'm taking this from Simon, consistently, right? The king of consistency right here, Mr. Simon Chan, talks about it, right? You might create, I'll give you an example because we're talking about reels. You can contribute and create one reel a week. That's great. But being more consistent, creating one every single day for the next 30, 60, 90 days is going to give you far better results, right? So again, there are consumers and there are contributors. I'm going to share one quick story on that, Simon, and I'll pass it back to you. I want you to think about your very first ever network marketing event. I want you to imagine you walk into your very first company event. There's about 10,000 people there. You just signed up. You're new to the business. You're sitting in the very last row of the whole place. How many people in that room are going to know who you are? Maybe one, right? Maybe your sponsor, but that's about it, right? No one's going to know who you are. Let's change the scenario. Let's imagine that same event next year, 10,000 people, you're smashing it, you're crushing it in your business. They ask you to speak. You're now up on stage, microphone in your hand, speaking in front of 10,000 people from your company. Who now is going to know who you are? Every single person in that room. The example that I'm sharing here with you is about all social media in general. Most people are consuming way too much. They're spending 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day consuming, going down, watching 47,000 different TikToks and stories and all this stuff when they have not yet generated a reel, a TikTok, posted to their stories. They have not contributed yet. So who's making all the money on social media? The contributors. So strive to be a contributor. Next time you log on to social media, do not consume anything until you contribute first.
Yeah, I love that. I share something similar. I spend more time creating than consuming. And I think everyone here, because if you haven't gotten the results you want, what just Coach Fry shared is true. I guarantee if you took a watch with some app and track how much time you spend on the platform making someone else's money or making Mark Zuckerberg's money versus how much time you're creating something to make an impact on the world, right? To help others, to contribute, could be a contributor and making money for yourself. I'm sure it's probably even 10 to 1, 20 to 1, 30 to 1, 100 to 1, sadly. So I think that's gold he's leaving there. Focus your attention on being a contributor instead of a consumer. Let the other people consume, but you go out there and contribute. Hey, thank you so much for your time. Any last questions before we let Coach Fryer go? And again, this is going to be on the podcast. It's going to be on YouTube as well. Definitely go follow Coach Fryer. Before I let you give your final words, any final words here? I want to ask you this question. Instead of the typical MLM Nation questions and stuff, I want to ask you this question because this is a huge part of success. First part is, what's the first thing you invested in your business journey? So for me, I remember, and by the way, team trainings don't count because they're free. I remember back then I couldn't sell. I didn't know how to prospect, nothing. And the first book I ever bought was Zig Ziglar's Selling 101. And the only reason I bought that book, I'm so embarrassed to say, this was back in 2004. I never recruited anyone. I was stuck. The reason I bought that book was because it was the cheapest book on selling on Amazon. It was $8.97. Okay, I could spend $15 on a drink in an LA club, go out and have $100 dinners, but I couldn't spend more than $10 in a book. But that was my first book. What's the first book you invest, or first thing you invested in yourself?
You know, it's so funny. I'm over here laughing, Simon, because my story is almost identical to yours. I didn't have a whole lot of extra money. And so the thought of investing in myself, even if it was a book or an audio cassette or whatever it might be at that time, it was a lot of money. And so I started to just Google what are some of the best books for marketers, network marketers, people want to grow businesses. And I actually stumbled across Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. But here's the kicker. There was no Amazon or anything back in those days just yet. And so, Barnes and Noble or bookstores, I went and found this book, and I think it was like $15, something like that, Simon. But here's where the story gets better. I wasn't willing to spend $15 on a book at that time. So what did I do? I actually went back and asked a few friends if there was some secondhand bookstores. And I went and found this book for like $3 at a secondhand bookstore. And so then I was open and willing to invest. But that was the first book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
And then the last question, by the way, for Lynn, you asked this question live here, is I'm offering $99 recordings to my online workshop. That's the last one I did, with free content, a content calendar, everything, if you get Brian's Instagram Reels recipe. So go to mlmnation.com/Instagram. If you're listening on the podcast or watching YouTube, it applies to you as well. Just make sure you send me an email after you get it, forward me the receipt to any of my emails, and I'll make sure our team gets it to you. Okay, the $99 recording. So the other question related to investment: what's the biggest investment you have made in yourself? And I'll share with you, and I'll say the biggest, and I'll say the most valuable one, right? My most valuable most expensive investment was $60,000 a year invested in one-on-one coaching. And that was actually where Brian and I met long time ago, like 8 years ago. And my most valuable one, I would say, is when I invested in the mastermind. I actually did not have money, but invested in a $25,000 mastermind a year to grow MLM Nation. And that first year, I actually didn't grow, even quote unquote learn that much, but the relationships were very valuable. And the reason I say it was the most valuable was because I renewed the second year for another $25,000. And by the way, the first year, I didn't even have the money. I just put it on my credit card. My residual income from my network marketing business was paying for my expenses. I'm looking to launch MLM Nation, put it on credit card, some payment plan. But I renewed. And then the second year, I actually made enough to pay for the $25,000. But it was through that mastermind I got the idea for the podcast and serving. So if I never invested, this thing would have never existed. I would never met Brian. None of this stuff would have ever existed. So that was back in, I still remember 2014, 2015. It's kind of lean times for me, but I invested. What was your most valuable most expensive investment you made in yourself? And what was the most valuable one you had that got you to where you are today?
Yeah, such a great question. I think my story is similar to yours. The most is investing $40,000 on a personal coach for one-on-one for 1 year. And I'd like to share just a little story about that. Obviously, I won't mention names and stuff like that, but at that moment, deciding to invest that amount of money in a coach, everybody else, family members, friends, thought I was absolutely crazy. My wife maybe thought I was crazy, but she gave me the okay because she knew how excited and passionate I was about the decision, and I was a go-getter, and I was going to figure out how to go make it happen. But I want to just share a quick story to go with that. So invested $40,000 in a coach, and I start with the coaching process, and after month 1, Simon, no results. After month 2, no results. After month 3, no results. After month 4, no results. Can anybody else start to feel the emotion within you right now? Maybe you feel bad for me because you just spend $40,000 and 4 months later, you still don't have nothing to show for it as far as results go. I started having some doubts, started having some reservations, but I was like, no, stay the course. This is what you committed to. This is what you invested in. And I stayed the course. And Simon, middle of month 5 is when I had my first breakthrough. After month 6, I had recouped my entire investment. Month 7, tripled the investment. Month 8, tripled the investment, and it just continued to go from there. So why do I share that quick story? Because I think sometimes, whether it's a $33 course, or it's a $1,000 or $10,000 coaching plan, I think our natural human inclination is want to get results right now. But the reality is what was I actually learning those first 3, 4, 5, 6 months? I was mastering the skills needed in order to get the results. So I wanted to share that quick story for all those who are tuning in. Now, to the other side, the most valuable for me, Simon, has been the collaboration. The collaboration with you, with Rob Sperry, with Darren Kidd, with all these amazing individuals that I've had the privilege of masterminding with over all these years, right? Simon, you and I met for a couple of years. Once a month, we would get on a Zoom and mastermind. We would share ideas. We would share wins. We would share our struggles. We would share a couple of good resources, books, recent audios, podcasts, what's working in our business, what's not. So those who are tuning in, I would say start collaborating more. Collaboration is greater than competition. You guys might see Simon and I as two competitors in the marketplace, but we don't. We see each other as collaborators, not competition, right? Because our two heads together is serving more people, providing more value for you guys. So if you can, find some folks to collab with.
Yes, definitely. And part of Brian's community is a great way to start. When I was just rereading since you brought it up, and I'll let you go, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. And he talked about the creative mind versus the competitive mind, right? If you're a competitive mind, and I've been in that trap where then you never have success. Like, oh, Brian's my competitor, I got to beat him. Or this person's by another company, they're my competitor. You never grow. But when you have a creative mind and think of ideas and then you collaborate, that's when the true wealth comes in. That's when the ideas and the genius and everything flows. So, hey, thank you so much, Coach Fryer. As we wrap up, what's the last words of advice? And then the best way our listeners can connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Best words of advice is anything that Simon says, do it. Right? The guy's a legend. You're here listening to the MLM Nation show. He's provided an insane amount of value for you for so many years now. Show him some love, some praise, and just listen to what he shares because he knows his stuff. As far as where they can find me, I think, just simply the best place is Instagram. That's my favorite place to hang out nowadays. Coach_Fryer over on Instagram. So much more free content stuff over there. And Simon, just want to thank you again, man, for your friendship, for the opportunity to serve the MLM Nation community, and grateful to be here again. Thanks for having me.
MLM Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today you've been hanging out with Coach Fryer. So keep up the momentum. Go to MLMNation.com, click on the podcast tab, and the show notes, all the nuggets of wisdom that Brian shared, the books that we talked about, and also the link to his Instagram Ruse recipe will be there. Hey, in order to be successful in life, in business, and in network marketing, you must help others. So, Coach Fryer, thanks again for sharing your valuable time with MLM Nation. We're grateful to you, and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much again, and God bless you. All right, MLM Nation, Simon Chan for recap from an amazing master class and episode with Coach Fryer. Make sure you head over to MLMNation.com, click on the podcast tab. The links to this amazing course is on their Instagram Reels recipe. Definitely is links to social media profiles will be on there as well. I'm just so fired up, I can't even speak. But it's so important, right, to go out there. And I think nowadays, I was just talking to some people, hey, you got to change yourself. If you want to be successful, people are making it happen. Coach Fryer has over 700 people in this group making it happen. Now, you talk about this one woman got 200,000 followers. That's probably a unicorn, a superstar, like the Michael Jordan or whatever. But most, I know, average people, if you look at them, are getting results. And then, the key part is serving. You don't just type in serving, write that down. Having a heart to serve, having a heart to be a contributor instead of a consumer. Stop consuming so much and create. Right? He gave you the GNC formula. He gave you what it takes. And growth, nurturing, getting this, don't sell on social media, but getting it onto DMs. Right? And he gave a lot of examples of if you're doing a sleep product, what to do. I specifically asked them, grill them on that so that you can think and apply it to whatever product you are selling, you are promoting, okay, or your business. So we're talking about GNC, the growth, the nurturing, the conversion, and the nurturing, remember, is the building the relationships, right? That's why, by the way, that's why I go live every day, 5 days a week. I do the reels, I do stuff with my kids, but that's how I nurture. A lot of you probably know definitely a lot more about me than I know about you because of the social media where I nurture and let you get to know who I am. A lot of nuggets here. The community, right? The community. I think Coach Fryer talked about it. We met and collaborate, got cool things because of the community and meeting, investing ourselves. And think about this. for this Instagram thing, this Instagram Reels recipe for $33. He's invested probably over 100, definitely 100, 200, $300,000 in his lifetime, in his last, since 2005, 2007. And he is pouring that into $33 for you. Right. That's why when I found out about it, it wasn't like $500 costs $1,000. He definitely could charge $1,000 for it, but he started for $33 and you get community and you get support. Go get it. Okay. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, why would someone join you? Right. Why would someone follow you? It's kind of like when I bought my Zig Ziglar book for $8.97, I told people, hey, check this out. I got this. I told my downlines, I got this. Why? Because I wanted them to feel that, hey, I'm going somewhere. I'm not like going to quit, right? Because I know if my downlines felt that I wasn't going to do well, they will quit. They'll lose confidence because they were struggling a little bit. But they need to know, Simon's doing well. He's investing. He's going to events, right? Really, really important. And when you invest in yourself, you have more confidence, and then people start following you. Even before you do a reel, people start following you because you're more invested. Right? People, you have a better vision, better belief. What are these? Talk about the belief, 3 types of belief: believe in the company, believe in the industry, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself easily. You're still watching this, you're still listening to this. It's belief in yourself is the area you need to work on. You believe in the industry, you believe in your company, your product, service, believe in yourself. That's what you need to work on. Every time you invest in yourself, every time you show up, you increase that belief. And then the 2 types of people: being a contributor and not a creator. Hey, the last thing I just want to share with you, he shared a great story about the 40,000, right? It's like people expect like a very transactional. I do this, I get this, right? That's wrong. That's like school mentality, right? I submit a term paper, I get a grade back, right? Or in the job, I do this, I get rewarded quickly. In business, it doesn't happen that way, right? Like for MLM Nation, for us, example, for Brian Shit, it took 5 months for him to do that. For me, it took, was it 4 to 5 months and over like 50 episodes before I made 1 penny from the podcast. But I focus on that. Just, hey, let me serve the direct selling community. Let me just serve. And then finally, at an event that I went to, right, at the ANMP at an event, that's when I met someone, and then eventually that led to the first person who did coaching with me. Took 4 or 5 months, but none of that would even existed if I hadn't invested in that mastermind back in 2013, 2014. And so I think every entrepreneur has those journeys where you got to take a leap of faith and just do it. And the reason I asked him about the investment thing is that's what successful people do. I just came back from the Leaders Mastermind, where I think the average earner makes at least $300,000 minimum, $300,000 a year. Every one of them, I will share stories like this, right? So if you want to be successful, this is the same copy what successful people do. Right? And also copy how they think, right? Most of you, I'm not getting results. Stop. Hey, it takes time. And you learn by the doing. Even when we do those reels, you learn by doing. Be patient in the process. And last thing I want to share, I'm really proud of my son, my oldest son, because he's always had a lot of success with baseball. So one of the things I raise my kids with is being patient with the process. One of the happiest days ever was like 3 weeks ago when my second son, he's been, he's a good baseball player, right? Compared to most kids, but nothing compared to his older brother and my youngest son, right? My oldest and youngest son, they're just basically born really, really good and picked it up quick. But he struggled for 3 years. He didn't give up and finally hit a major breakthrough. And the fact that I think age-wise, I used to think, what's wrong with him? How come he can't be like my oldest son? All of a sudden, he went from the worst to like 10, he's 10 years old playing with 11-year-olds. I think he's better than my oldest son was at that age. And overnight it happens, like learning to ride a bike, learning how to swim, right? It's the same thing in network marketing. I couldn't recruit, all of a sudden I got it, right? That was like 3 weeks ago. And then just this last week, my oldest son, we've just been pushing. He has dreams to be a pro, play college baseball, and then get drafted. He's changed the swing up and then just struggled for the last 4 months. He's always been used to being the best player or one of the best players in the, not just on his team, but entire area we live in. And he's been struggling, hitting terrible, hitting under 200, right? Not just to be patient. And he's been patient. He's been working out. And they're just super proud of him. This last week, he just had a major breakthrough in practice, in the games. He broke up a no-hitter on Sunday. It was just incredible. So be patient in the process, and any type of success takes time. Anyway, that's all I have. I normally these recaps a lot shorter, but I'm fired up. Maybe it's the live audience I'm doing. Appreciate everyone for being on here. And make sure you subscribe to the show. Follow Brian as well. And subscribe to our YouTube as well. Leave us a review. Really appreciate it. Hey, I'm Simon Chan. I'm loud and proud to be part of this amazing profession. Thank you all. Make sure you apply. Go get Brian's course. Email me. You get the freebie for the recording. And apply what you learned and go out there and have a positive impact on someone's life. God bless you all.